From the beginning, Anna and Marcos were the perfect couple in everyone's eyes. They met in college where Anna studied literature and Marcos studied engineering. Their passion blossomed quickly, leading to a marriage full of promises and shared dreams. Anna was a simple and genuine woman, always valuing the essence of people more than appearances. She didn't care about following the latest fashion trends or spending hours getting ready. For her, love and honesty were what truly mattered. Marcos, on the other hand, was ambitious and constantly concerned with his image and social status, something that became more evident as his career progressed. At first, Marcos loved Anna's authenticity. He admired her passion for life and her ability to see beauty in the simplest things. However, as he climbed the corporate ladder, he began to feel increasing pressure to conform to the standards of his colleagues and superiors who valued impeccable appearances and luxurious lifestyles. The first sign of embarrassment emerged at a corporate event. Anna, in her characteristic simplicity, wore a dress she loved, but it didn't match the glamorous expectations of the environment. While she chatted animatedly with other guests, Marcos noticed disdainful glances and whispered comments. His face flushed with shame, not because of Anna, but from the fear of others' judgment. That night, as they returned home, Marcos made a vague comment about how it would be good if Anna tried to fit in more at company events. Anna, always understanding and wanting to support her husband, agreed to make a greater effort, although she didn't fully grasp the need for such a change. She loved Marcos and wanted to see him happy, even if it meant compromising a bit of her own nature. However, that small seed of shame planted in Marcos began to grow. He started avoiding bringing Anna to certain events and, when he couldn't avoid it, felt increasingly uncomfortable with how others perceived her. Anna, despite her efforts to adapt, began to notice the growing tension and change in Marcos's behavior, but she never imagined the extent of the problem that was coming. That year, the company where Marcos worked organized a grand celebration to mark the success of a new project. It was a gala event, attended by important executives, valuable clients, and all the employees. For Marcos, this was a crucial opportunity to strengthen his position and impress his superiors. Anna, as always, wanted to support Marcos. She spent weeks preparing, bought a new dress, carefully selected accessories, and even asked a friend for tips on makeup and hairstyle. She was radiant and hopeful, eager to see the pride in her husband's eyes. On the big day, as they entered the hall illuminated by crystal chandeliers, Marcos felt a twinge of nervousness. He knew Anna was different from the glamorous wives of his colleagues, and this worried him. However, Anna looked beautiful and confident, smiling brightly, and he tried to push his worries aside. Everything seemed to be going well until a group of Marcos's colleagues approached. Amidst laughter and greetings, one of the colleagues, a high-ranking executive, looked at Anna with curiosity and asked, "And you, Anna, what do you do for a living?" Marcos felt his face burn. In a moment of weakness and shame, before Anna could respond, he stepped forward and said, "Oh, she works at a small consulting firm. It's like she's one of our staff, always helping us out at events." Anna was momentarily paralyzed, processing her husband's words. The smile on her face froze, but she masked her embarrassment with a nod and a forced smile. The conversation continued, but for Anna, everything around her became blurred, and the voices turned into distant murmurs. The party continued, but the hurt was already planted in Anna's heart. She tried to enjoy the evening, dancing and laughing, but Marcos's words echoed in her mind. He was ashamed of her. That simple, thoughtless phrase had revealed Marcos's true view of her. When they returned home, the silence between them was dense and uncomfortable. Anna, still trying to understand what had happened, couldn't find words. Marcos, on the other hand, felt relieved that the night had ended without any major incidents, unaware of the pain he had caused the woman he had promised to love and cherish. That night, Anna cried alone, feeling the silent humiliation her husband had imposed on her. It was the beginning of a painful realization about her marriage and the man she thought she knew so well. The days following the gala event were marked by a disturbing silence between Anna and Marcos. Although she tried to maintain their normal routine, Marcos's comment haunted her. She felt like a stranger in her own home, questioning whether the love they once shared still existed. One afternoon while Marcos was at work, Anna decided to tidy up his home office. It was a space she rarely entered, respecting her husband's wish to have a place of his own. But that day, something compelled her to cross the threshold. Among papers, folders, and notes, Anna found a corporate diary, a notebook where Marcos jotted down notes about projects and company events. Curious, she began to leaf through it, hoping to understand more about her husband's professional world. That's when she found something that made her stop. On one of the pages, Marcos had noted details about the gala event, including a guest list and observations about their interactions. Next to Anna's name, he had written, Anna, wife, introduced as an employee to avoid embarrassment. The words hit her like a punch in the stomach. There it was, in black and white, the confirmation of her worst suspicions. Marcos hadn't just humiliated her that night. He had planned to do so. He truly saw her as an embarrassment, someone who needed to be hidden behind a false identity so he wouldn't feel judged. Anna felt a wave of anger and sadness rising within her. How could he? After everything they had been through together, the dreams shared and promises made, this was how he saw her. Not as a partner, a friend, but as an inconvenience, a shame to be disguised. When Marcos came home that night, he found Anna sitting in the living room, the diary in her hands. Her eyes, usually so warm, were cold and determined. Marcos, we need to talk, she said, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions. I read your notes about the event. I read what you really think of me. Marcos turned pale, trying to find words to justify himself, but everything seemed empty and inadequate in the face of Anna's pain. You humiliated me, she continued, her voice breaking slightly. You're not ashamed of me, Marcos. You're ashamed of who you are beside me. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcos tried to approach, but Anna raised her hand, stopping him. I deserve more than this. I deserve someone who is proud of me, who respects me for who I am. I can't continue with someone who sees me as a burden. That night, the decision was made. Anna asked for a divorce, determined not to live under the weight of shame and humiliation any longer. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she also knew it was necessary to regain her dignity and happiness. Marcos, left alone with his guilt and regret, watched helplessly as Anna began to forge a new path, a path that he, with his own actions, had forced her to take. The request for a divorce was a shock to Marcos, but Anna was resolute. The following weeks were a painful mix of legal formalities and raw emotions. Each document signed felt like tearing apart a piece of the past they had built together. For Anna, it was like closing a dark chapter of her life, but a necessary chapter to find the light again. The separation brought to the surface feelings that both had kept hidden for a long time. Marcos, once so confident and self-assured, began to realize the emptiness his arrogance had created. He tried to get close to Anna, to ask for forgiveness, but each attempt was met with the coldness of someone who had suffered too much. One night, Anna and Marcos sat at the kitchen table for the last time. The air was thick with tension and sadness. Anna, I know I was wrong. I know I hurt you. But please, can't we try again? Marcos pleaded. Anna looked at him, her eyes full of tears. Marcos, I have already forgiven you, but that doesn't mean I can forget. Every time I remember that night, I feel the pain of the humiliation you put me through. It's not just about what you said. It's about how you made me feel. You took away my confidence, my joy. She took a deep breath, trying to maintain her composure. I need to move on for myself. I need to rediscover who I am, without living under the weight of your shame. This isn't just a difficult decision. It's a necessary one. Marcos lowered his head, tears silently rolling down his face. He knew he had lost the woman he loved, not for lack of love, but for lack of respect and understanding. And that was a hard truth to swallow. In the days that followed, Anna began packing her things. Each item put away was a step towards freedom, but also a reminder of the memories they shared. There were moments when she almost gave in, almost went back, but her determination to find her own happiness kept her strong. The day she finally moved out was bittersweet. She looked at the house that was once a home, now just a structure void of the memories they decided to leave behind. With one last glance at Marcos, who stood in the doorway with sad, resigned eyes, Anna got into the car and left, feeling the weight of pain but also the hope of a new beginning. As she drove to her new apartment, she felt a mix of fear and freedom. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was hers. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt in control of her life, ready to face the challenges and joys that lay ahead. Marcos, on the other hand, stayed on the doorstep, watching the car disappear into the distance. He knew this was the consequence of his actions, and that he would have to live with the pain of loss. The separation was not just physical, but a bitter lesson on the value of respect and true love. Anna found herself in a small apartment in the city center, a modest place but full of possibilities. The first night was the hardest. She felt the weight of loneliness like never before, and the silence seemed deafening. But at the same time, there was a spark of hope that she hadn't felt in a long time. The next day, Anna woke up determined to rebuild her life. She started with small things, hanging pictures she always loved but never had space for in the house she shared with Marcos. She put plants on the balcony, creating a small garden that flourished under her care. Each act was an affirmation of her new independence. Anna decided to resume her writing career, something that had always been her passion but had been set aside to support Marcos's dreams. She began attending writing workshops where she met other people who shared her love for words. In these meetings, she found not only inspiration but also a new network of friends who supported and encouraged her. One day, while walking through the park, Anna found a charming and cozy bookstore. She entered, feeling drawn by the smell of old books and the tranquil atmosphere. She started chatting with the owner, a kind man who was passionate about literature. He invited her to organize a book club, and Anna accepted with enthusiasm. Organizing the monthly meetings filled her with joy and purpose. Months passed and Anna transformed. She rediscovered her passion for writing and began working on a book based on her own experiences. Writing was therapeutic. Each word written was a healing wound. Each page turned was a step toward recovery. Her confidence grew, along with the certainty that she had made the right decision by leaving Marcos. Despite the challenges, Anna also found pleasure in her own company. She explored new hobbies such as painting and yoga, activities that connected her to herself in ways she had never imagined. She learned to appreciate the peace of solitary mornings. The silence that once seemed oppressive was now an ally, a space for reflection and growth. One day, while reviewing a chapter of her book in a cafe, Anna realized something that made her smile. She was happy. Not a happiness dependent on someone or something external, but a genuine joy that came from within, from the pride of having overcome challenges and found her own voice. Anna knew there was still a long way to go, but she also knew she was ready for anything. The solitary restart was no longer a burden, but a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. With each new day, she felt more prepared to embrace the future, leaving behind the shadows of the past. It was a spring afternoon when Anna, with her new habit of visiting the local bookstore, decided to lose herself among the shelves of old books. The owner had mentioned a new collection that had just arrived, and Anna was eager to explore. As she ran her fingers along the spines of the books, her eyes caught a title that intrigued her. She pulled the book from the shelf and headed to the cozy corner of the bookstore, where soft armchairs and gentle lighting invited reading. She was so absorbed in the story that she didn't notice when someone sat in the chair next to hers. "That's one of my favorites," said a warm, gentle male voice. Anna looked up, surprised. There was a man with bright eyes and an easy smile, holding a book similar to hers. "Really? I just started it," she replied, a bit shy but curious. He introduced himself as Miguel, a frequent visitor to the bookstore. They started talking about the book, and soon the conversation expanded to other topics: literature, travel, and the small joys of life. Miguel had a special way of speaking, a calm and assurance that immediately put Anna at ease. He was funny, witty, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know her. The conversation flowed naturally, as if they were old friends who hadn't seen each other in a long time. In the days that followed, Anna and Miguel started meeting regularly at the bookstore. their conversations evolving into long walks in the park and pleasant coffee dates. Anna was surprised at how easily she opened up to him, something she hadn't imagined possible again after the pain she had endured. Miguel also shared his own stories and challenges. He was a man who valued the same things as Anna and had been through his own journey of self-discovery. Each meeting with him brought a new layer of joy and hope to Anna's life. She began to realize that, even after great suffering, the heart has an incredible capacity to heal and love again. One afternoon, while they were walking by the river, Miguel took Anna's hand and stopped to look into her eyes. "Anna, from the moment I met you, I felt something special. You are an incredible person, and I would love to learn more about you and walk beside you on this journey." Anna felt her heart race, not with fear but with a comforting emotion. She smiled, a smile that reflected all the happiness and hope Miguel had brought into her life. "I feel the same way, Miguel. You brought light to a time I thought was dark. Let's move forward, together." From that moment on, Anna's life took on a new color, a new melody. Miguel not only brought joy but also a renewed confidence in love and the beauty of second chances. Every day with him was a celebration of life, a testament to the power of true love and hope. As the days turned into weeks, the relationship between Anna and Miguel blossomed in a surprising way. What began as a series of casual meetings at the bookstore evolved into a deep and meaningful connection. Each moment together revealed new layers of their personalities, and both marveled at how easily their lives intertwined. Miguel was a man of subtle but powerful gestures. He surprised her with small acts of affection, a flower left at her apartment door, a loving note hidden in her favorite book, or a spontaneous afternoon picnic in the park. He not only listened to her but also understood her, something Anna hadn't experienced for a long time. Anna, in turn, rediscovered the joy of sharing her life with someone who truly cared. She found comfort and security in Miguel's arms, feeling free to be herself without fear of judgment. Together, they explored new hobbies, watched old movies, and spent hours talking about everything and nothing. One night, while they were walking through the illuminated city, Miguel stopped in front of a small art gallery. "I have a surprise for you," he said with a mysterious smile. Anna walked in, curious, and was amazed to see an exhibition Miguel had organized, filled with paintings and photographs he knew she would love. "I wanted to share this with you, Anna. Every piece here reminds me of you in some way," Miguel explained, holding her hand. Anna felt her eyes fill with tears, touched by the depth of his gesture. Their relationship wasn't just about grand moments, but also about everyday simplicities. Miguel supported Anna in her writing, encouraging her to pursue her dreams and publish her book. Anna, in turn, offered Miguel a new and inspiring perspective on life, helping him find a balance between work and passion. One quiet afternoon, while they were cooking together in Anna's small kitchen, Miguel stopped and watched her with a look of pure admiration. "You know, Anna, I always thought true love was something that only existed in books and movies. But you showed me it's real, and I never want to lose this." Anna smiled, feeling the warmth of Miguel's words envelop her heart. "Me too, Miguel. You've brought light and color into my life in a way I never imagined possible." Their relationship blossomed based on mutual respect, admiration, and deep affection. Together, they faced challenges and celebrated victories, building a future full of promise and possibilities. Each day was a new page in their story, a story of sincere, deep, and unforgettable love. The relationship between Anna and Miguel continued to grow harmoniously and intensely. Each day brought new discoveries and adventures, solidifying the deep connection they had built. Anna felt happier and more confident than ever, immersed in a love that made her flourish. One night, Miguel invited her to a gala event, an annual celebration organized by his company. He mentioned it would be an excellent opportunity for her to learn more about his professional world and meet the people he worked with. Anna accepted the invitation with enthusiasm, excited to support Miguel and curious to see this new facet of his life. On the day of the event, Anna prepared carefully, choosing an elegant and simple dress that reflected her personality. Miguel arrived to pick her up, looking stunning in his tuxedo, and together they went to the luxurious ballroom. As they entered the hall, Anna was amazed by the grandeur of the event. The sophisticated decor, the soft music, and the laughter echoing through the room created a magical atmosphere. Miguel introduced her to various colleagues, and Anna felt welcomed and valued. However, as they approached a group of people near the stage, Anna sensed a familiar presence that made her pause. It was Marcos, her ex-husband, chatting animatedly with some colleagues. He hadn't noticed her yet, but seeing him brought a wave of emotions she thought she had left behind. Miguel, noticing the change in Anna's expression, held her hand firmly and looked into her eyes. "Is everything okay?" he asked with concern. Before she could answer, one of Miguel's colleagues approached and with a wide smile said, "Miguel, we're all looking forward to your speech. It's always a highlight of the night." Anna blinked, surprised. "Your speech?" she asked, looking at Miguel. He smiled, a bit embarrassed. "Didn't I mention? I'm the CEO of the company. This event is something we organize every year to celebrate our achievements." Anna's world paused for a moment. Miguel, her new love, was the head of the company where Marcos worked. The irony and poetic justice of the situation hit her with force. Marcos, who had humiliated and belittled her, now worked for the man she loved. Before she could fully process the revelation, Marcos finally saw her. His eyes widened in surprise and disbelief as he realized who was standing next to Miguel. He froze, unable to hide the shock and shame that flooded his face. Miguel, sensing the tension, wrapped a protective arm around Anna's waist. "Let's go, Anna. It's time for my speech," he said, guiding her to the stage. Anna stepped onto the stage beside Miguel, feeling a mix of triumph and peace. Miguel began his speech thanking everyone for their hard work and dedication. When he finished, he turned to Anna, holding her hand tenderly. "Before we conclude, I'd like to share something personal," he said, looking deeply into Anna's eyes. "This woman beside me has brought a new light into my life. Anna, you are my inspiration and my love. And it is with great joy that I ask you, here and now in front of everyone, to marry me." Anna felt tears welling up in her eyes, but this time they were tears of pure happiness. "Yes, Miguel," she replied, her voice choking with emotion. "Yes, I want to marry you." The room erupted in applause and joy, while Marcos, in the background, watched the scene in disbelief. He couldn't believe that the woman he had belittled was about to marry his boss. Justice had been served in an unexpected and perfect way. The company party was at its peak, with laughter and lively conversations echoing through the elegantly decorated hall. The soft lights created a magical atmosphere, and the background music added a touch of enchantment to the night. Anna, beside Miguel, felt part of something special, a stark contrast to the painful events of her past. As they walked through the hall, Miguel stopped to chat with several colleagues and employees, all praising his leadership of the company. Anna felt proud, seeing how respected and admired he was. The night was perfect, and she couldn't imagine how it could get any better. Then the host of the party took the microphone and called the guests' attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the stage. Our CEO, Miguel, has a few words to share." Miguel smiled at Anna and squeezed her hand gently before stepping onto the stage. Anna, unsure of what to expect, stood next to some new friends she had made during the evening. "Good evening, everyone," Miguel began, his voice firm and clear. "I want to thank each and every one of you for the incredible work you've done throughout the year. Our success is the result of a collective effort, and I couldn't be prouder to lead such a dedicated team." The hall filled with applause, but Miguel raised his hand for silence, a special sparkle in his eyes. "Tonight, however, is even more special to me for a very personal reason. There is someone here who has transformed my life in ways I never imagined possible." Anna felt her heart race as Miguel looked directly at her. "Anna, please come up to the stage." With her heart pounding, Anna walked up to the stage, feeling all eyes on her. Miguel took her hand and turned to the guests. "This incredible woman has brought a new light into my life. She has taught me about love, courage, and the beauty of starting over." Miguel then knelt down, holding a small velvet box. The hall fell silent, all eyes fixed on the touching scene unfolding before them. "Anna, you are my inspiration, my joy, and my true love. Will you spend the rest of your life with me?" Anna felt tears well up in her eyes. It was a moment she never imagined could happen, especially after everything she had been through. "Yes, Miguel," she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, I will." Miguel placed the ring on her finger, stood up, and kissed her under the applause and cheers of everyone present. It was a kiss full of promises and hope, a symbol of the new beginning they were both ready to embrace. As they hugged on the stage, Ana saw in the distance the figure of Marco standing among the guests. He looked bewildered, unable to process the reality of what had just happened. As they hugged on the stage, Ana saw in the distance the figure of Marco standing among the guests. He looked bewildered, unable to process the reality of what had just happened. Marcos was at the party, enjoying the company of his colleagues and the elegant atmosphere. He moved through the hall with confidence, chatting with other executives, feeling part of the circle of success. The night seemed perfect until he heard Ana's name called on the stage. Surprised, he turned to see what was happening. Marcos's heart nearly stopped when he saw Ana step onto the stage next to Miguel. He blinked, incredulous, trying to understand why his ex-wife was there, beside the CEO of the company. When Miguel began to speak about how Ana had transformed his life, Marcos felt a wave of shock and disbelief. He looked around, seeing the surprised and happy faces of his colleagues, and then turned his attention back to the stage. Every word Miguel spoke was like a knife stabbing his pride. Marcos watched paralyzed as Miguel knelt down and proposed to Ana. The silence in the hall was absolute, and Ana's response, though soft, echoed clearly in his ears. "Yes, Miguel. Yes, I will." Applause and cheers filled the hall, but Marcos couldn't join the celebration. He felt crushed, as if the ground had been pulled out from under him. The woman he had belittled and humiliated, whom he never truly valued, was now standing beside a powerful and respected man, his boss no less. He tried to process the situation. The idea that Ana was about to marry the CEO of the company where he worked was surreal. He felt a mix of regret, anger, and humiliation. Marcos knew that, in the eyes of his colleagues, he was the man who had let a gem slip away. The cruel irony of the situation was inescapable. As the guests approached to congratulate the couple, Marcos stayed on the sidelines, battling the storm of emotions consuming him. He wanted to flee but was stuck in place, forced to watch Ana's happiness, which painfully contrasted with his own misery. Ana, embraced by Miguel, saw Marcos in the distance. Their eyes met for a brief moment. There was no hatred or resentment in Ana's gaze, only a resolute calm and the certainty that she had made the right choice. For Marcos, this was even more devastating. The party continued, but for Marcos the sparkle had vanished. He knew that night marked a definitive turning point. The woman he had belittled had not only rebuilt her life, but also found a love that he could never offer. When he finally managed to move, Marcos left quietly, without saying goodbye to anyone. As he walked through the dark streets, far from the party and the bright lights, he reflected on his choices and the price he would pay for his arrogance. The vision of Ana, radiant beside Miguel, would remain etched in his memory, a constant reminder of his failures and what he had lost forever. What would you do if you were in Ana's place? Would you forgive Marcos and give him another chance, or would you have divorced Marcos to move on? Comment below what you would do, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.